What makes our country different than not only the countries that are here currently, but any country that's ever existed on the planet that we know of? What makes us different? We have the right to pursue happiness in this country. A right to pursue it. An inalienable right. That's a lot of syllables. Inalienable. We have a right to pursue happiness in this country. You know what that does? That fires up people in this country to exhaust their potential, to work hard, to look after their families, to fight, and if necessarily, die for our country. It's why we have the pride that we do have for our country. Is that one thing. There's many great things about our country, but that's the one thing, in my opinion, that is totally unique and given to us in the Constitution. It doesn't say you got the right to be happy. It says you got the right to pursue happiness. That's a big difference in those two things. The fact that you get to pursue happiness should inherently make you happy, right? Think about all the people right now as we stand in this house having a cocktail, and I don't know what kind of meat you're cutting, but make me a sandwich, please. We're all standing here having a good time, and around the world right now there's billions of human beings created by the God that created all of us, and they got talent, and they got drive, and they got ideas. They got energy. They're not allowed to do what we're allowed to do. They say, sit down, shut up, do what you're told, and where you were born is where you're going to die. And that's the end of it. And same thing for yours and yours and yours and yours and all the ones that came before you. That's what everybody else is dealing with, but not us. So we take advantage of the right to pursue happiness in this country. I remember growing up, double wide trailer, Amarillo, Texas, Panhandle of Texas. Hell, if it wasn't for I-40, we wouldn't even have a town called Amarillo, Texas. That and the Big Texan, if you can eat 72 ounces of steak in less than an hour, son, you get it for free. It's like, here's a free heart attack, son, take it. That's where I grew up. And my dad told me, son, work as hard as you can, think as big as you can, and I don't care whether you're broke, rich, or somewhere in the middle, make sure you always tithe. And I remember looking up at him. I was hoeing weeds in our jalapeno patch for a week, and I got my $5 bill, and he said, make sure you always tithe. And I said, what's tithe, Daddy? He said, tithe is giving 10% of whatever you make back to other people that need it. Doesn't matter whether you're broke, rich, or in the middle. And he gave that parable about the woman that walked up and she had nothing, and she gave a shekel, which is like the lowest denominator of money back in that day, and dropped it in the bucket and walked away. And the Pharisees were dropping big money. They're dropping $100 bills in there going, we're so generous. And Son of God said, yeah, I care more about that widow's shekel than I do about your $100 bills, because that was an actual sacrifice to her. That's the importance of tithe. It also says if you tithe, that he'll roll it back in your direction in such multiples that you can't even handle it, is what it says. That's Malachi 3:10. Not to preach to you guys, but that's what it says. And that's what I think, and that's what I read, and that's what I know. I've applied those things to this brand. The working class of this country is the elite class. If you didn't have a working class, you wouldn't have anybody else. And why should the working class of America, because they're on a fixed income or going month to month, why should they have to drink whiskey that burns their throat? They shouldn't. If anybody gets to drink the good stuff, it ought to be those people. Can I get a hell yeah from this crowd? Well, that's what I set out to do. And that's what we did, by God. Now 2 years into it, we're looking at a nationwide platform that is Redneck Riviera whiskey. Granny Rich Reserve hit a few months back. My cousin Leah, where are you at? There's my cousin Leah. Say hi, cousin Leah. Yeah, we got the same granny. I called Granny Rich today. Actually, yesterday, I called Granny. I said, hey, Granny, what you doing? And you could tell she was halfway through a drag on that Marlboro Red. She said, well, I'm just sitting down here at the shop, getting ready to hem some old lady's skirt. I said, my God, how old is she if you're calling her an old lady? I said, no offense, Granny. What's she, 120? I mean, Granny Rich will be 88 this next February and is still running her own business and having a couple Marlboros and sipping a little Redneck and watching Wheel of Fortune at the end of her 30 to 40 hour week. Can I get a hell yeah for Granny Rich tonight? Who don't want to be Granny Rich? I want to be Granny Rich. This is what makes our country great. This is what this brand is about. We cater to those people. We ain't pulling no jokes or no tricks on anybody. We love the working class people of this country. We are the working class people of this country. That's where we come from. That's what we're loyal to. And that 10% that we give back to the folds of honor, can you think of a better way to thank a man or a woman who gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country than to take care of their children and spouses that are left behind? I personally cannot. I take so much pride in knowing every time people in this room, people like Carl, order another case of Redneck Riviera, 10%, 10%, 10% every single time. Ran my calculator on it right out of my iPhone because I can't do that. You know, I ain't good at tech, but I can find the calculator app. In 2 years, sales of Redneck Riviera whiskey have now generated $384,000 for the Folds of Honor. Try that one on, son.